Ladies and gentlemen, this interview is brought to you by www.employeeescapeplan.com. And what is employeeescapeplan.com? Well, it's a site that you can go to build your marketing foundation, your sales principles that build your business to help you create the impact that you desire. And it's ran by Mr. Joe Nicasio. He's an amazing coach and mentor and advisor of mine. So if you want to have more customers pay you more money more often, Joe Nicasio helps you put in the systems, the foundation, the principles that absolutely bring in more business to your door so you can thrive and love life. www.employeeescapeplan.com. Chris Steely is a transformational leader, author, speaker, and coach who has trained thousands of business leaders how to refine and apply their purpose to their business, engage their power, and learn how to make their businesses profitable, fulfilling their ideals. Chris's personal mission is to positively influence others through open communication, empathetic understanding, and contagious commitment to success. He currently travels the world coaching, inspiring, empowering, and facilitating teams of hundreds in the areas of business success, strategic vision development, and cross-pollination of ideas and ideals. Chris, are you ready to rock this, brother?
Let's do it, Chris.
Let's do it.
Love
Awesome. Boom. We are now live on Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to share with our audience everything that you've learned and all the wisdom and experience. And dude, your business is GPS, man, with so much alignment.
What a synergy. I love the synergy, man. It's awesome.
Yes. So we're going to dive in right away to the question, the theme of the day, the gifts of life and death. And Chris, how has the gift of life, each moment being precious, this moment being everything, as well as the gift of death, that any moment it could be gone, how has that affected your perspective and your ability to influence and impact the world?
Well, my reaction to that is that, we're all human beings, right? Nobody gets out of this life alive, right? So we're all here for a certain period of time, and, we round to about 100 years. I think the key with me is what really taught me the value of life and to live every day to its fullest is back when I was 20 years old, my mother passed, and she was my best friend at the time. And, it's more than half my lifetime ago. And it kind of introduced me to my mortality. And, it's really my responsibility to live every day to its fullest. And really, for me, understand what my purpose is, why I'm on this planet. Because eventually my time's going to expire as this flesh and blood body. Yep. Yet my essence and my spirit is eternal. And I've come to terms with that. I've done lots of self-work, understanding who I am, why I am, and what the essence of my purpose is. So, life is a gift. It's a blessing. I've lost both my parents. I've lost a lot of loved ones. I've lost a lot of pets. I love animals. And when they all pass, I've kind of reached a point in my context of mortality that I've just been blessed to have them in my life. And we never know when our fuse is going to burn out. We never know. I mean, it could be tomorrow, it could be today. So the key is to be fully present, optimize every minute that you got, and realize that your life is a gift from your creator. It's your responsibility to manifest it and serve that creator most effectively. That's what I think.
Boom! Bringing the fire right off the start. I love it, man. I love it. This is gold. This interview is going to be amazing. I know we talked about this. We're going to be challenging each other, stepping it up, and having a lot of fun. So, dude, this is awesome. Welcome to GPS. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to GPS. And what does GPS stand for on your side of things?
Well, I created my first brand in my first entity. I embarked upon entrepreneurship back in 2003. So where are we at? 15 years ago, rounding, basically. Wow. And then in 2005, I had the opportunity to create another business, and I co-wrote a book, an anthology book with Stephen Covey, John Gray, and Les Brown called GPS for Success. And that was the title of the book. So I branded my entity based on a GPS. And so one of the things I teach, Chris, is and we're going to delve into this during the course of our time together. I know we've agreed to do this, is to exercise our capability. And really, it's the capability of our mind. One of the things I teach is genius mind principles. I'm an NLP practitioner. I'm a trained certified neuro-linguistic programming practitioner, which is really tapping into your unconscious capability, your genius mind. And I train people to do this. I actually train them to be able to be more confident, and efficient and productive for their company as well as for themselves if they're an employee. So for me, GPS is actually it's got a triple meaning. So basically GPS is a global positioning system, which connotates direction. And that's one of the things I do with my business is I give people direction. And it's also in the context of the book, here's actually the book. You can see it's goals and proven strategies for growth, profit, and success. So GPS.
I love it.
And it creates what I've just done is I've created a fractal paradigm, a multidimensional perspective in your mind. And it I don't know if you know Buckminster Fuller's concepts. Bucky was a genius. He passed away in 1983, but a prolific genius that talks about geodesic thinking, geodesic dome. He wrote a book called Critical Path. And from my perspective, one of the key secrets to success is to read books, learn about what other geniuses have done, and apply yourself in that context. So for me, that's what GPS is. It's got a triple meaning, and it means something to me, and it resonates with my heart, and I just hope it resonates with other people as well.
It does, man. You know that there's people who are aspiring to be their greatest possible self, to really tap into their, what do you say, it's goals, the
goals and proven strategies for growth, profit, and success.
Growth, profit, and success. Dude, there's people who are hungry for that. So, why do you think that this is necessary now in our era, in our, where we're at in society? Why are your services desperately needed for the people around us?
So as we look at our times, the times we live in, one of the reasons I do what I do is it's my purpose. Again, it's my life purpose. It's why I've been in front of this planet. I've been exercising a capability all my life. It's been a wonderful journey. I'm now coming up on my 5th decade of life, and it's kind of a culmination of everything that I've been blessed to be and everything I've strived to become. And here we are now in the present moment with business the way it is. My genre is business. I earned my MBA. I got an undergraduate degree in marketing. I excelled in corporate business. And for me, when I created my businesses 15 years ago, I embarked upon what I call my crusade to be able to make business better. And it's interesting, over the past 15 years, as I look at that, it hasn't necessarily been easy, and we talk about the roller coaster ride. And I know we're going to talk a little bit about that around the challenges and things like that. And it's the adversity that distills character in people. And I've had a lot of adversity in my life, and I'm blessed to have that. So it allows me to be able to be who I am now in the presence of the world that we live in. So, if you look at the world, here we are making distinctions around our family, our environments, our culture. You and I, we live in America, right? I'm a global citizen. I've been able to travel all around the planet. I've lived in Australia and, been all around Europe. In America, we're just so blessed. I mean, it's amazing. We just take it for granted. A lot of people's thought processes around America. I mean, here we're just a couple white Caucasian males, right? Just now, we're so blessed to have this capability. We could have been born into anything. This soul could have been born into a child in the middle of Central Africa in a famine condition. But here we are living in this body, in this life, in this world, in this economic society that we live in now. And we're always surfing waves of economies, So now we have the current regime. I don't necessarily want to get political, but we have the current establishment that's kind of allowing our economic construct to be what they are. And we're surfing a pretty cool wave of expansion right now. The key is to realize, just like with breath, you breathe in, you breathe out. Then you breathe out. It's like blood flow. It's coming into your heart, out of your heart. It's consistent. It's a cycle. So in the context of the cycle, here we are living today, surfing a wave that's going to recede. Well, what are we going to do about that? So it's our responsibility to determine what our purpose is, whether it be to be a great employee, to be an entrepreneur who's inspired, who's bringing our gifts onto the planet, and to make a difference in a technologically based world. I mean, that's probably one of the biggest differentiators right now is the technology that's happening. I mean, here we are. Check this out. We're on Zoom, Facebook, You're seeing me, it's live. It's just awesome.
Yes.
So how do we apply that toward this fast pace, social media based scenario where frankly, there are no secrets anymore. The internet is the
Wild,
ultimate
Wild West.
bastion of exposure. I mean,
Yeah.
if you've got a bad reputation in the marketplace, all somebody has to do is Google your name and you're exposed. So in that context, full circle, just to answer your question directly, I'm here to foster congruence with people, to get people to be of integrity and to be honorable and serve to their utmost capability so that they can live fulfilling lives, whatever that means to them, based on their definition of success.
Why is that a driver for you? Like, why is impacting humanity, why does that push you forward? Why does that have you get up every morning and drive?
Honestly, the answer to the question is, for me, it's a purpose. Before I was born, my father was a Baptist minister. And then he got into the Marine Corps. And then 4 years after he got off active duty, he had me. And he raised me as his son. I mean, he ended up passing away about 8 years ago, back to mortality, coming to terms with that. And we rejoiced because he was a Christian man. He knew where he was going. And frankly, I'm my father's son. I'm an idealist. I believe that we can work together. I believe that we can respect one another and be honest and honorable and do our best and perform effectively and have an impeccable work ethic. And again, if we're employees, not looking for that shortcut, not looking for how much I can take before how much I can give is what it's about. Because too many people are out there for themselves first. My ethic, if you ask what I'm here to do and what my purpose on the planet is to serve first. For me, it's all about a servant-oriented attitude, a servant-oriented mentality.
We were just reading Napoleon Hill this morning, chapter 7, and we were talking about going the extra mile, right? Giving more than is asked of you. And if you're constantly in that frame of mind of abundance and going above and beyond, the universe is going to keep delivering more and more back to you because you're constantly giving more than is asked. Such a
you
powerful
inspired
principle.
me, by the way, with Think and Grow Rich. Actually, I bought it many times. I've given it away all my life. It's a foundational book, and I've actually got it now electronically. So while you were reading that this morning, I was following along.
Nice.
Yeah, and I distribute it to people because it's a foundational, iconic book. I mean, I've distilled it into principles. It's really become part of my life. So I love that you were teaching that this morning. That's awesome.
Thank you, man. So, dude, I do want to get into more of that shaping, chiseling, character building, the diamond forming in the coal moments. Tell us about some of those moments that had you have to overcome adversity to get to where we are today. Maybe along the business journey when you weren't certain. Maybe along the self-belief spectrum where you just didn't know like where to go, who to turn to, or how to get through that moment. Take us to a couple of those like instances where you just had to become more to get through.
So it's interesting. Where I'm going with this is I want to give you a perspective on how I'd become galvanized, and how I'd become conditioned to face the adversity that's coming. And I believe that the adversity that's given to us, life doesn't happen to us; it happens for us, right? Yes. It's given to us so that we can step up to the next challenge in our lives. And my life has been a wonderful life. I love my life. It's great. I started my first business when I was 15 years old, mowing lawns and cleaning pools in my neighborhood, making money. And then got into junior achievement as a kid, served on a board at 15 years old. And then when I was 16, I chose to go to a military boarding school. And going away from home, it was like, oh, I'm leaving home now, 16, and going into an environment. It was, we think about military boarding school. A lot of people think, oh, reform school, but it wasn't that. It was about leadership. So I learned leadership at a young age, at the age of 16. And then I got out and I went to school and just kind of kicked out of the nest. There's a relative adversity there, but it began to condition me and cultivate the character that I needed to step up. And then I excelled in fraternity and college and managing the GPA and everything that we've done to get the degree. And then my mother passed when I was 20 while I was in school. And it was just like everything just kind of fell apart. I was a relatively young kid, and it was just one of those things where all of a sudden, okay, I'm alone, and there's other dynamics that were happening in my life. But that really introduced me to who I was, what my spirit was, what my mortality was. And then I, continued to go through life and everything, fell in love, lost that love, that was heartbreaking. That was devastating to some extent. Got out, worked for a while, was working in a job that I was okay at and everything. I was confident, but there was something that was missing. And then I had excelled in the sport of rowing, so interesting story around adversity. My boatmate died in a car accident on the way out to practice. And we ended up putting together a 4. And then over the course of the next 6 months, we ended up winning the national championship in a 4-man shell because this Craig Spirit was with us in our boat.
Wow.
It was just an amazing experience. It was like confronting that loss and then parlaying that into victory. So, but eventually what happened next was the war, the Iraq war. When Desert Shield turned to Desert Storm. As soon as the war happened, I signed up as a patriot. I said, okay, time to go to war. Left my business behind. Was a recently married guy. Got married. And so my wife and I went into the Marine Corps. Basically, I became a Marine Corps logistics officer and stepped into that. I actually got hauled out of OCS, Officer Candidate School. I got hauled out in an ambulance because it overwhelmed me. It kicked my ass.
Wow.
But I stepped up. I went back in and overcame that adversity, and just all these challenges. It's not easy, But I knew that life was happening for me, and so got out, got recruited to a Silicon Valley-based IT firm, earned my MBA. That was challenge in itself. I didn't enjoy school, but I did it. I did what I needed to do to get that education, so I could be competent and have the confidence in business that I know I was meant to have.
Yeah.
And then worked for a Silicon Valley-based IT company for a while, winning, losing, doing project management, winning deals, losing deals. It's just a constant ebbing and flowing of ups and downs. It's like the yin and yang.
So when you were going through these, did you know that you were disciplining yourself? Did you know that you were hardening yourself? Did you know that you were building character? Or what was it that kept you going to the next point? What was it? What were you seeking? What was driving you forward?
It's funny. It's a good question. Honestly, I think it was just kind of an instinct. It was kind of instilled in me as a child.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. There's so many wonderful scenarios. And we talk about adversity. We've all got family of origin. One of the big aspects of my life is my family of origin issues. And when I was 14 years old, my father checked me into Alateen because my mother was an alcoholic. I didn't know what that meant. But as a young kid, I started getting into group therapy and psychotherapy, and just coming to terms, confronting myself. Not necessarily being comfortable with the catharsis that I was having, but really getting to know me as a spirit and as a soul. Reading books, The Road Less Traveled. I think I read that book when I was 16 years old. It was my first personal development book, and now you can see I surround myself with books, because that's the value. But honestly, Chris, it's been kind of a cultivated, conditioned attitude of knowing, as I mentioned before, it's like the yin and the yang. It's the good and the bad. It's the dark and the light. I know we talk about, the Star Wars and the Force, and that's a metaphor.
Yes.
And the Force is about balance. It's balancing the dark and the light, not hoping for an easy life, but instead praying to be a stronger person through the wonderful challenges that life serves us, that galvanizes us, and it gives us the armor to be able to take on the next challenge in life. And it's been a conditioned endeavor over an entire lifetime. And honestly, I think, Chris, if you ask me, I'll just kind of get different on you here. I guess I asked for it in a previous life. And we talk about life journeys and, past lives and things like that. Again, I've come to terms with what I've come to terms with. I've got my own beliefs. And we've all got our own belief systems around, whatever, society, theology, what our religions are and everything. At the same time, it's really important for us to confront that BS, right? The belief systems. And
it's to be like fierce for finding the truth. Be curious, like fierce with our curiosity, our openness of what is it that drives this thing?
Right, this thing, this entity, this responsibility, this force that I am.
Yes. And
kind of take that on.
Yeah.
And be willing to confront it and realize that when the breakdowns happen, there's a breakthrough on the horizon. So it's funny, we talk about the roller coaster, and life for me has been a consistent evolution of breakdown, breakthrough, breakdown, breakthrough. And this is what I teach in business now, is that realize that in order to have a breakthrough on when it comes to revenue, profit, hiring the right people, building a good team, there gets to be a breakdown of sorts. we get to, and I've come to a point right now where I enjoy taking myself on and facilitating breakdowns. And, one of the things that we talk about in business coaching circles is if it ain't broke, break it. I'm not necessarily a big fan of that, but I understand the context,
Yes.
around taking yourself on, challenging yourself. Yeah. And I'm an example of that, is just pushing through and eventually, matter of fact, a good metaphor. You can see here, I've got my little background. There's the little Superman thing. It's a good metaphor for the fact that, the guy's family died, right? He got wiped out. He came from Krypton. It's a story. It's a metaphor. Right. And it's an example of how we are all powerful forces. And we've all got kryptonite in our lives, right? Things that are influencing us, that are holding us back and holding us down. It's our responsibility to take that on. Yet at the same time, it's always our choice. We can descend to the basic level of instincts, back to the BS, the belief systems that we were told to have. Some people are believe things simply because they were told it was right to believe them versus actually believing them in our hearts. So it's our responsibility to take that on, read books, explore, delve into the intricacies, get to know yourself.
Yeah. A lot of people are so afraid, though. Speaking of that shadow, right? Like the dark parts, the darkness, people are afraid to peel away the layers of, is this true? To peel away the layers of that BS, the belief systems that they had picked up along their life. Just so much repressed guilt and shame is mounded on top that they don't want to have to deal with or work through. So for everyone who's listening, what's something that we can give them or share with them, or a new perspective if they have been dealing with this or not been willing to confront the uncomfortable and really dive into this and be curious and peel away the layers so that they can question their drivers, their motivation, their essence?
I'll actually tap into two words you just used, which have been big in my life that have allowed me to overcome things: guilt and shame. We could just delve deeply into this context of how there's certain theological belief systems, religions that foster guilt and shame, and I came to terms with this as a child. For the first, decade, 15 years of my life, it was based on shame, guilt, and the key is that we get to release that and realize that, I opt out of guilt. I opt out of shame. Yeah. Do the best you can all the time. Yeah. And there's really no need for guilt or shame. We get to release that. Matter of fact, I'll just spin around here. Classic book, and I'm sure that you're aware of this. 4 Agreements, right?
Yep.
Do your best all the time, and if you do that, you get to choose to release that guilt. And the whole context of shame. There's shaming that's happening all the time, whether it be through parents or siblings or society or, again, theological belief systems. We get to choose to be aware of that and release it. And again, good old Don Miguel Ruiz in the 4 Agreements, great perspectives. Like I say, I could sit here and recommend books all day long, but the secrets to success in life and business are hidden in books. But that's an aspect of it, is letting go of the anchor chains that are holding us back. So for me, life is a metaphorical sailing journey. Back to another metaphor. There's my sailboat up there. And it reminds me that I'm here, that when the wind's in the sails, then we're flying. And what we got to do is have good sails, good, healthy sails, so to capture the wind. And some of the time the wind's going to blow really hard in the context of a storm. And we have to endure that storm and be the powerful forces of resilience and capability so we can weather those storms. Some of the time there's not going to be a lot of wind, so we're not going to move very fast. Wow. So it's that awareness of the metaphor of life. And for me, that is that sailing journey. And too many people go through that sailing journey of life towing anchor chains, and it's slowing them down. The anchors of codependence in life, or the anchors of the guilt that was fostered into them as children. The key is to cut those chains, see the chains, cut the chains so that you can fly and have a wonderful journey and sail effortlessly in life. But ultimately what it comes down to, it's our choice to do that.
So how can we actually cut those chains, Chris? How can we actually let that stuff go? How do we actually, in the moment, choose? How can we be aware of the stuff that's holding us back? What are the triggers? What are the thoughts? What are the emotions? What do we look for to know, hey, this is something I need to cut and let go of in my life? How do you detect those?
I think from my perspective, the first thing to do is to do what I'm doing right now. So I'm checking my gut. Just immediately, I'm just self-awareness of my body, my embodiment. Um, you've got the gut right now. How tense is my gut? Is there churning in my gut, in my stomach? Call it the chakra here that's in the middle of my body, in my center, and check that. Listen to that, and then also go ascend into the heart space. How does my heart feel? Is my heart burdened? And the churning of the gut, which causes it's stress is manifest through gut, through your gastrointestinal system, and you end up getting ulcers and things like that. Your body is an embodiment of who you are. Is that embodiment effective? And listening to your body will give you a direct reflection on how healthy you're being right now in the context of your gut and your heart. So that's the first response to that, Chris. The second one is get to know your parents. We all go through life, and from 0 to 2 years old, I don't remember that time.
Right.
I probably remember my life. I think my first memory was about 5 years old. So from 0 to 2, we're sponges. We're little kids. We're like, wow, the world is wonderful, and we can't talk. So what do? We take things in. And our parents, the two people typically that we have that raise us, they're doing the best they can as well. And some of them, they don't know how to parent. There's no courses on parenting. So we carry those anchors of the BS in our lives based on what our parents instilled in us, whether they know it or not. So it's really important for us to get to know who our parents were and what they were going through during that time in our lives, so that we can identify with how we were raised and what we were taught at a young age. So, that's the initial aspect of it. And then from there, it's like I say, I've been on the psychotherapy couch since I was 14 years old. I love taking myself on. That's a choice I get to make. And I find that I'm more self-actualized because of that.
Wow, that's beautiful. And I love that we transitioned right into that self-actualization, because one of the things that we want to talk about today is discipline and enlightenment. And I'm curious, Chris, how do those two philosophies go together? How have you seen that manifest for you?
So it's funny. That was my tagline that I developed when I first developed my businesses, where enlightenment meets discipline to generate results. So let's talk about enlightenment. Let's unpack what enlightenment means. Okay. So right now, everybody who's watching this, you, Chris, everybody who's engaging right now, is now aware of what they think enlightenment means. Some people are imagining a guru sitting on a mount. Some people may think of their, whoever their theology positions as their leader, could be Jesus, could be Muhammad, could be whatever, their belief system shows them. So that's the perspective that people have around enlightenment. For me, enlightenment it's like having a rheostat on a light bulb. So before enlightenment, there's darkness, it's dark and we're oblivious. We all have obliviousness, and we don't know what we don't know. That's darkness. Then our prerogative is to become aware of the fact that we have control over that light switch. And the key to turning that light switch on and beginning to turn that rheostat up is a function of being able to see who we are. Like I say, The Road Less Traveled is a great book. It's a great metaphor for, lead the life you were meant to lead, and that's a great book. There's lots of other really great books that introduce people to their light, their capability. I know that I'm a light worker. I chose to be on this planet before I got into this life, and I chose the purpose. I know what that purpose is. And I've learned that through confronting that and being able to turn up that light, whether it be through books, through study, through introspection, through, again, psychotherapy. So it's that enlightenment. And right now, my light is shining brilliantly. I know that I'm a beacon on the planet, and so many other people on this call are also beacons, and we have this responsibility to shine that light. At the same time, I know that my light can get brighter. So that's, from my perspective, that's what enlightenment is. So it's enlightenment, it's awareness of who we are and what our purpose is. And there's methodologies, there's ways to do that. Then you take the context of enlightenment and you apply discipline. Okay, so discipline. Right now, you're all unpacking the word, and discipline. A lot of people, there's this connotation of corporal discipline and getting paddled in school and, ooh, discipline. In my context, discipline, really, the simple definition of discipline is choosing between what you want now and what you want most.
Wow.
And understanding what that is. And we all, you said it earlier today, we're all human beings. We all want more pleasure. We want less pain. Yeah. And in that context, we get to have the discipline to know what's best for us. I'm a human being. I'm confronted all the time with reasons why I should play a small game. Well, because it's comfortable, because it's easy. I'm confronted all the time with reasons why I should do things that I know aren't good for me. But what I get to do is have the discipline to know the truth for myself. So that's what discipline is. I spent 4 years as an active duty logistics officer, and then a total of 20 years in and out of the Marine Corps Reserves. And that's discipline. That's fostering discipline and doing what it takes to achieve the high ground. See, there's another metaphor. There's my Iwo Jima statue up there. See that statue there? Yeah. That's the Marine Corps. That's what it's all about. So that's a big aspect of my life. Yeah. And we get to come to terms with what enlightenment means to us and what discipline means to us. And this is what I love to do in my seminars and my events, is unpack that and apply it and allow people to get that level of self-actualization based on defining for themselves what enlightenment means and how they can discipline themselves to live that life of purpose and passion if they so choose.
Yeah, I love this. I was listening to Jim Rohn, How to Cultivate an Unshakable Character, and he said there's two types of people in the world: people who look up and read the definition of words, and people who don't. So it's like this definition. How do we define these words? These like really leverage words, such as discipline, such as enlightenment, such as belief, such as love. And if we're able to really get grounded and certain in our definition, not necessarily the right definition, because who knows, there's no right, everything is perspective, everything is relative. When we get grounded in that, for us, what it means, it just creates so much power for us to create in this reality and really harmonize with the universal laws. Or, if we create a definition that isn't in harmony and we stick to that and we lock with that definition, it'll create a lot of challenges and opportunities to learn. That hardening of, hey, I'm going to hold on to that life has to be really, really hard and difficult, and life equals hard, right? Somebody might have the definition, life equals hard. That's going to be a pretty shitty life, right? Versus life is fun and flow and play. And of course, there's going to be hard moments. And what I choose to focus on is that it's fulfilling and enjoyable and an incredible experience.
And by the way, Chris, what you're telling me, you're speaking right to me. I mean, I'm sitting here, you've got me on this call because I've got a level of expertise and I love people and I want to help. And you've just confronted me with the fact that, I've been conditioned that hard work and striving and, there's something to be said about it. Yes. When it comes to physical fitness, it's our responsibility as leaders to be fit. Yeah. And if we descend to our basic human instincts, I want tasty food. I want things that are decadent and everything. So it requires an effort to condition yourself to want good food, to be able to optimize your cardiovascular system, to be aware. So there's this level of work that it requires. But, you're right. It's not about focusing on how hard it is. It's actually being aware of how life can be an enlightened journey of purpose and passion and joy.
And it's choice. It's what I hear is choice. I was just thinking about this because I grew up hating vegetables, right? And I'm still breaking through those patterns. And I'm what would it be like if I loved broccoli? If I just like broccoli was my favorite thing. I'm grateful. And I just started transitioning into I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I love broccoli. I'm grateful that I just eat it up all the time, and just what is that like if I'm choosing that being, that presence, that soul's directed focus of who I am and what I value. I value health. I value fueling my body. I value staying alive. I value operating at peak performance. So of course I love broccoli and challenging myself, because if you show me a plate of broccoli right now, I'm gonna be I don't want that. But challenging myself to learn, to adapt, to harden, to be disciplined.
and conditioning that.
Yes.
And that's the key, is that, I mean, I've lived a life right now where I've conditioned myself through, striving. By the way, it's funny. I was actually talking to my coach just last week. I've reached a point in my life that I have an optimal weight and an optimal condition. I do blood testing. My wife's a doctor, so we do blood tests every 3 months just to make sure my blood chemistry is good. Totally. And I've got an optimal blood condition. My cholesterol is where it should be. My weight's where it should be. And I was asked why. I mean, how is that happening? And honestly, I was like, I don't know. And what made me realize is that I've conditioned myself to be able to set an intention of fitness. Again, fitness, what would it be? Weight, blood chemistry, getting enough sleep, managing my stress, to the point now where it kind of takes care of itself now. Because I don't eat decadent food. I'll eat half a portion, and I just don't want to eat the rest of it. I just don't want to. Minimize my alcohol intake. I just don't want alcohol. So I've just kind of reached a point in my life where that conditioning has happened for me, and I'm a manifestation of that. And again, we're all leaders. As leaders, we get to be congruent with who we are. From a fitness perspective, physical fitness, mental fitness, and emotional fitness, because life can be brutal some of the time. It's important for us to be able to be resilient and resourceful in the context of the journey and the storm, as things hit us, to be able to bounce back. And again, it's a conditioned exercise. So
I love congruent. When you said that, the first thing my mind linked to is identity. We are always being congruent with our identity unconsciously, subconsciously.
That's good.
So how do we shift our identity? Do you have any suggestions or ways that you've shifted your identity, or ways that you've shifted your clients' identities that have really, been profoundly impactful for you in your life?
Well, from my perspective, like I say, for me, my genre is business, and businesses are structured the way they are to get the results that they're getting right now.
Yeah.
So think about you. If you're a business owner, you're getting the results that you're getting based on the business that you've set up. So your business is generating the results that you're manifesting. Totally. Why is that? So it's imperative to think. By the way, I know a lot of people that create businesses based out of the greed motive because they want to make money. Business ownership is the path to wealth, and a lot of people will do that because, and again, one of the reasons I created my first business was the tax benefits. I control how much money I pay to Uncle Sam, and I love paying taxes because when I pay taxes, it's a reflection that my business is making money.
Yes.
But you got to check it down for yourself. What's your motive? Is your motive to make money? I mean, we all want money, right? I want money. I love profit.
Yes.
And money's not everything, but it's right up there with oxygen, right?
Yep.
We got to make money. But is that our driving force? So it's back to congruence, understanding why we were put on this planet. I know that I'm here as a force for good. And back to Jim Rohn. I mean, and if you haven't heard of Jim Rohn's great. I know Chris, he's one of your mentors. He's one of my mentors.
Classic.
Read the stuff. Listen to his tapes. He's the guy who taught Tony Robbins, by the way. And I worked with Tony Robbins directly for several years. I toured with his business mastery. So a lot of Tony's philosophies are what it's all about. But it's about kind of taking yourself on. And back to the word congruent. We get to be congruent with our purpose. Back to choice, because I always say, or not. It's our choice. I choose, and frankly, Chris, I think you're attracting to this group, to this tribe, people that are choosing to step up and take it on.
Yeah, and to bridge the gap.
Martial arts mastery and bridging the gap. What is the gap?
Yeah.
We've got to see the gap.
Yeah, it's the gap of what are you choosing now to what do you want to choose differently, and to have the patience and the grace and the discipline to continue and to not let up until you are automatically programmed to be that choice 24/7.
And let me give you a reflection. Yeah. Look at what you're doing. We've met recently. You walked up to me immediately, your passion, your enthusiasm, your fire. I was like, hey, this Chris Burns guy, pretty cool dude and everything. And you're like, hey, come on to this event and everything. And look at what you're doing, man. I'm exposed to this platform. Talk about congruence and purpose and influencing lives. The world gets to see this, Chris. They get to see what you're doing and what you're all about. And aligning with your purpose. By the way, let's kind of go into this point now as we talk about purpose. You apparently to me, you're a purpose-driven guy. You're on fire. You're doing what it takes. You're influencing other people. Our purpose can oftentimes be influenced by external forces, like economic forces, competitive forces. Competition's out there. There's a lot of people out there that don't do things as nearly as we could be doing them, but they're getting more market share. They're getting more clients, and that can be frustrating for us. So market conditions. I mean, we live in this era of fear, of terrorism. We all remember the big one back in 2011, which is 17 years ago now. I'm sorry, 2001, 17 years ago. And it's that fear. So those conditions are always confronting us to be able to test our congruence. I have to make money. Is that my primary driver? I get to check that down. Economic conditions right now, by the way, we're going through a good year. 2018 is going to be a great year. All the prognosticators that gaze into the crystal ball and read the crystal ball are saying that 2019 is going to be the beginning of a downturn. With that realization, what are you going to do about that? My answer is serve more congruently, align with your purpose, and step up like you're doing right now, showing people this capability, this marathon that you're doing, introducing people. Love it. Think and Grow Rich, just enlightening people. There you go. That's what you're doing, Chris, is you're enlightening people. We all get to choose how much of that light we want to take on because of mitigating forces and factors, economies, family. I had a friend of mine, bless her, found out today that she was carrying a child that she lost. Miscarried today. Such a tough thing. But things like that happen for us. And we get to realize in that context, what does this mean? Life is going to throw us off balance. It's going to throw us off kilter. But again, back to that martial arts thing. I love martial arts. I'm an Aikido-nist. I love Aikido. Being in a dojo and wanting to be thrown off balance, because that's what creates force and capability. And whether it be a Jedi Knight or a martial arts samurai, there's my sword. See my sword? Yeah. This is my martial arts samurai sword, because that's my responsibility. We all get to step into that dojo of life, be prepared to be thrown off balance, be grateful for it, and get back in balance.
Yeah, dude,
through it all the way.
I love this, and I'll put myself in the hot seat right now. Something that I have noticed hasn't been working about my life is I started this 12-hour marathon as a way to promote a webinar, right? It was about a year ago, to promote the webinar. And I continued doing it because it was fun and I enjoyed it and people got value and there's engagement. And I also see that deep down inside, I also continued doing it because I didn't want to disappoint people. I said, I'm the 12-hour marathon man. And if I stop doing this, what will people think? How will they see me? I made this big commitment, launched the podcast, doing all kinds of amazing things. And at a point there, and I'm still working through it, this show had power over me because it meant more to my status, to how I appeared to people. Like, ooh, Chris Burns, he does the 12-hour marathon. And I'm conditioning myself to be the person who focuses on how does this 12-hour marathon add just massive value to the guests who come on and the audience, right? And like an indicator that I was off track is the show hasn't grown as much as I would like it to, right? People haven't picked it up. I haven't gotten, big name guests on because it's been about me. It's been about, I'm like afraid, I'm hiding out, what will people think? And now I'm conditioning myself to be grateful for the impact that I am able to make. So I'm conditioning myself with gratitude for this 12-hour marathon, for the show, for the guests that I get to bring on, the amazing connections, the amazing relationships, the impact that the people who I do bring on are making, which is phenomenal. These people are giving their life of service, for service. And it's like I've been taking that for granted. And it just really doesn't work for my life. So I'm just committing, Chris, with you and everyone who's listening, that this 12-hour marathon is about making that impact, bringing enlightenment to the world. And it's not about me. And as much as I like being in the spotlight and being, in performance mode and saying, hey, look at me, I'm doing these 12 hours, I'm awesome. That's not what it's about. It's a cool aspect and what the underlying current, the driver is this makes a freaking difference. It inspires people to take on massive projects that they wouldn't have otherwise. I have a guy, Nick Snap, who came on the show, who started a 4-hour show of his own called Miracles and Atheists, where he brings together atheists and religious believers and has them have a awesome discussion that is facilitated, that is peaceful, that is able to create new perspectives and add value. And that wouldn't have happened without this 12-hour marathon. So it's just amazing what happens when we put ourselves in the hot seat, when we challenge ourselves, when we question why are we doing this, and really get to the core driver, and then we can choose, instead of being run by a driver of ego or whatever it is, we can choose service in a moment-by-moment basis.
And by the way, great example, man. I'm just going to say the universe, for everybody who's watching this that has an ideal, the universe is going to test that ideal. It's going to confront you. The more enlightened you become, the more light you shed on your reality, the more you're going to be tested.
Yeah.
And Chris, I love the confession. I mean, the fact that you were doing this for certain reasons, and now you're aligned with your purpose and the congruence. The universe is still going to test that.
Yep.
And there's wonderful stories. I can think of just dozens of stories off the top of my head. Gary Vaynerchuk comes to mind right now. Gary V, he was into wine and everything. He was doing these wine podcasts and everything, or whatever, video camp. He did 1,000 of these things and nobody watched. I mean, he wasn't getting any audiences, but he didn't care because he was fulfilling his purpose, and he was doing this. Again, if you don't know about Gary Vaynerchuk, he's a great guy. He wrote a really good book, another really good book called Jab, 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 Right Hook. It's about how you develop rapport with constituents in the marketplace, prospects, before you can sell them. And it's all about rapport. And that's what you're doing right now, Chris, is you're developing rapport with people because they're seeing your heart, your truth, and your light. At the same time, the universe is continuing to challenge you and me and us. And we get to breathe into that challenge and be aware of it's a glorious purpose, a glorious challenge that I've stepped into. And I didn't ask for an easy life, but I know that it's galvanizing me. You talk about challenges. I mean, when it comes to business, you actually asked specifically around business. I created my business and it didn't succeed, and so I ended up having to get a job, so I went back, got a job, and then I lost the job. I got unemployed, went back into my business. And hired people, got coaches, got that objectivity, and once again hit a downturn, but then did what I knew I needed to do, follow with the guidance of coaches, and then I ended up serving as the director of coaching for the world's largest business coaching company, traveling the world and training business coaches how to be business coaches. Awesome. And it was great. I was at the height of the roller coaster ride. And then that fell apart because of ego, and it was just a bad scenario and everything. So going back down, and it's going back into my business and starting, getting back into that and cultivating that, and then doing the right thing, right place, right time. And I ended up aligning with Tony Robbins, and then boom, touring the world with Tony Robbins and being one of his top business consultants, surfing the wave, woo-hoo, realizing that there was a breakdown that was going to come after that. So breakdown, breakthrough, it's consistent. And again, it's yin and yang, and we get to be grateful for that. Being congruent, being enlightened, and having the discipline to work through those times that we don't want to work through some of the time.
It's beautiful, man. What are you applying discipline to, or what breakdown have you been dealing with that this year you're really taking a stand against?
I'll just confess it. For me, it's approval. And I don't know if anybody can relate, but in the context of my upbringing and who I was because of 0 to 2 years old, I know that there's hardwiring that's in me around wanting approval of other people and doing things because I get to be seen as somebody who's good and competent and capable, and seeking that approval. What I'm doing, and that's always there. It's like a specter. It's a shadow that's always there, based on the hard wiring that was created in me when I was 0 to 2 years old. Yeah. And I know that about myself. And as I grow old and I get into that, I mean, that specter, that shadow is always there. And when the light shines, there's always a shadow that's cast. So I'm personally, since you asked, I'm confronting that shadow And I'm not really giving a shit about what other people think, So that's me personally, and having the discipline to be able to do that. It's not necessarily easy, but it's something that I'm confronting, and it's personal for myself. And I don't know if anybody else can relate to this. I don't know if you can relate to it, but that's kind of my specter. That's my shadow.
So what's a specific instance you see that coming up, that challenge and the discipline, the choice of not giving a shit what anybody thinks? Where do you see that in your future, that you will have to, not be that old program, 0 to 2 year old programming, and you'll have to make the choice?
Well, one of the things I am is I'm a trainer. Tony calls me a stage guy. I love being in front of people and talking.
Yeah.
And the difference for me, as opposed to other people that are up there, and I see I've got an agent that I work with, and the agent works with other speakers, and I see other speakers, and they're all about, I'm good, I'm great, it's about me. What I do is I take the spotlight off me and I shine it on my audience. It's more of a facilitated approach, but at the same time, I am the icon. I am the beacon. I am the lighthouse, as we all are in our own unique lives. And we get to show up as attractive, attracting what we want to attract. And we all know, we don't have to talk about the fundamentals of the law of attraction, but at the same time, we get to attract what we want to attract. So we're out there being the light and the beacon and showing up to be able to attract the things we want to attract. But at the same time, these days, by the way, full circle back to a question you asked earlier, what's the difference in society these days? It's about authenticity. It's about being open and vulnerable and being real, I train sales. I love training sales teams how to sell. The key to selling these days now is to show people how real you are.
Yeah.
And again, not selling to make a commission, but selling because you know the difference that your solutions is going to make in the lives of your constituents, of your clients and your prospects. And doing that as a real person, because people are seeing through the veils of falseness and ego and lack of authenticity. So that's what I'm doing, is just really trying to show up as, as the powerful, wonderful, amazing man that I know I am. At least my wife tells me I am. And that vulnerable, some of the time being on the verge of tears because I say something that means something to me so much in my heart. That's the difference that the difference makes these days, I think.
Wow. It's awesome, man. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So we're beginning to wrap up here, Chris, and this has been a phenomenal, incredible interview. We went through a ton of different spaces.
How did you do that? I just looked at the clock. That was 50 minutes. That feels like it was 20 minutes, man. How did you do that? You manipulate time. That's crazy. Well done, man. It's a testament to your ability to foster presence in people. Well done, man.
Thank you. Thank you. So what's the new reality that our audience gets to step into because of their time invested here with us?
So the new reality for me, it's the possibility, it's your possibility of discovering why you're here. It's that fostering that enlightenment and choosing to step into the discipline that's required for you to manifest that purpose and fulfill that purpose. For me, I'm doing it. People ask me what my why is. My why is because I'm a gift. I'm my God's force. My Creator has put me here for a reason, and I'm here to serve that purpose. What you get to do, the new reality, is to not be in denial anymore, not create delusion around, well, my parents told me I should do this and I should get a job, or my parents told me that I should be a lawyer or a doctor, so I'm going to do that. And what you're doing is you're just mitigating your spirit. You're compromising your life. So the reality, the new reality, is to not live that way anymore. Wow. Be the beacon that you were meant to be and discover what that is. So understanding what your possibilities are and approach them from an inspired way.
So beautiful. Awesome, man. Awesome. We are definitely do that. Chris, how do people stay connected with you? What do you want them to do next, brother?
Well, I think I see there's little taglines there at the bottom. That I got a couple websites, right?
Yep.
So chrissteely.com. By the way, everybody Google your name to see how you show up. I've got chrissteely.com. That's my website for me as a human being on the planet. And Google my name. And I've got lots of good stuff. I love doing these things like we're doing, Chris, with podcasts. And I've written a couple books and everything. Then gpsbusinessgroup.com is my business that I created. So I have a gift for everybody. It's a free gift. Here's the book, by the way, GPS for Success. There's Stephen Covey, John Gray, Les Brown. There I am.
Love it.
Chapter 4, it starts on page 61, and it's called Inspiring Your Possibilities. And it's my chapter.
Awesome.
Okay, so you can actually, I'm giving this chapter away for free, and all you have to do is go to gpsbusinessgroup.com/gift. So gpsbusinessgroup.com/gift. And you'll see there's a page, Inspiring Your Possibilities, Chapter 4 of GPS for Success. And all you have to do is enter your name and your email address, and you download it immediately. It's the chapter. It's really good stuff. It's actually an interview with me and the guy named David Wright, who was the founder of Insight Publishing. So that is the gift I'm giving to everybody. And then the next level gift is, you know me, I'm a business guy. I'm all about helping business owners optimize and generate profit and everything. I'm offering a free 45-minute business consulting session, free, no strings attached, to people that are in business. So go there, download the book. I'll shoot you an email. We'll schedule that complimentary session if that's something you're interested in doing. But I just want to give it away. I'm here to give to people and serve and determine what you can do to be able to optimize your business and fulfill your purpose on this planet.
Chris, thank you, man. Thank you. And I'm curious, what is your one thing this year, in the next year? What's your one thing that no matter what you are accomplishing?
My one thing. Well, it's funny. There's one thing based on aspects of life. Right. For me, there's aspects of life. There's it's the 5 F's: family, faith, firm, fitness, and fun. Right. So there's one thing that I'm focused on accomplishing in each one of those components. So, I mean, I've got one thing with my family and my wife, and one thing when it comes to my career, and when it comes to fitness, I've got my optimal health condition, which frankly I know I'm going to reach because I'm already there. So when I think of friends, actually having friends and having fun and everything. So as I'm going through this and I'm thinking of the one thing, I'll just give you a perspective on the one thing in the context of building family and friends and community. I am committed to touching 1,000 people in 2018 that are curious as to what they can do to be able to live their lives as optimally as they can. That's the one thing in the context of building community. So hope that's a good answer for you.
Dude, that's a good answer for you, Chris. That's all that matters.
Love your smile. Chris squared, man. That's what we're about.
Yes, baby. Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, Chris is impacting 1,000 people's lives. So you can be one of those people. Go download his free gift, gpsbusinessgroup.com/gift. Go get that. Have fun. Love life. And Chris is here to serve. So, Chris, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your wisdom. Our audience loves you, man. And keep it up, man. Keep burning it up.
Thank you, my friend. Keep being the light that you are.
Thank you, brother. We'll see you soon, okay?
Sounds good. Thanks.